better over time, I told you that I always in my eyes on you. And then the girl's voice. This
time it's
Dude, your subscribers must be like, how does this guy have some new shit to talk about every other month? But yet here we are.
Well, to be very honest, I think people are like onions, as Janhvi once told me. There's layers and layers. So I'm just gonna peel you each time
Peel the onion.
Peel the onion.
It's from Friends.
Exactly. I feel like I'm gearing you up for Big Boss. What is going on?
You really are. You're just like, but I would root for you. But I think you'll be good. But you should consider.
I think I've got to talk about that tweet that you sent out. I think that tweet that you talked about, the cycle continues. I think that was a very stark reminder of the current state or the current condition of the Hindi film industry. I mean, how shocked were you not being invited for that launch? I mean, were you expecting not to be invited? I mean, what was your reaction like when you kind of sort of found out that you weren't going to be a part of that?
You know, the funny thing here is I was not as shocked as people asked me that I was. I really mean it. So, you know what happened was I woke up in the morning and I read this invite and I asked me, it's like, how come, dude, you've not been invited? And when I asked myself this question, I caught myself asking me this. So I quickly went to the phone and I tweeted exactly my thoughts, and they were verbatim written on the message. And there were no thoughts. There was no trepidation, as in what, when, how, nothing. I just tweeted, and oh my God, I was so proud of my country and the people in the country. They stood up for me, and I felt so happy. I felt so safe. I was so blessed. I felt very nice.
Okay. So what satisfies you the most about success? Is it the final result or the preparation for it?
Wow, how have I never thought of that? Okay, so it's a bit of both. Now, when I think about it, when we were shooting for all these projects, when I was shooting for all these projects, I would often think of what it would be like when it would come out and what would people think. Now that the projects are releasing, I often find myself thinking of the journey that I made during the project. So I think it's a bit of both. I think the satisfaction can't just come from one place. I think it's the journey as well as the destination.
I just feel like I don't think that anybody is a villain in their own head. And the way that sometimes like you portray characters, I think in our films as well, I understand why they do that. Is a kind of simplified approach for audiences to understand it or to relate to it better. I think that we put a lot of value on simplicity. I don't know if we're at that stage yet where we can afford to delve into like grey characters. I don't know if many people have ventured into that yet in our films, but it definitely excites me because I don't think that there's any such thing as a black and white person, you know. Everyone is grey. Like you 1,000% have been a villain in someone's life and been a saint in someone else's, and like in your head you're never the bad person.
Yeah.
So how cool would it be to play someone who's just in everyone's eyes the worst human ever, but really like you have your own needs and like everything in your head is justified and you're doing it for the betterment of something. So I think that that's just such an interesting outlook on it.
And it's not the platform that matters. What matters is people you work with. And I am of this very, very strong belief that if you make something good, if you tell a good story, the audience is so smart, the audience is so large-hearted, you know, that they will find you and they will support you and they will love you. If they see that you are genuine, if they see you are a hardworking person, they will applaud you. If you cheat people, it won't last long. Whether it's in cinema, whether it's in real life, whether it's an interview relationship, You cheat people once, twice, and third time they'll cut you out.
Yeah.
क्योंकि आपने नवाजुद्दीन सिद्दीकी सर का नाम लिया, मुझे एक्चुअली ये आइडिया आया. इमेजिन अगर एक ऐसी फिल्म होती जहां रमन राघव और सनी एक दूसरे के साथ काम करते. Can you imagine the chaos?
My God, बहुत crazy हो जाता ना माहौल.
Can you imagine? Just it'll be इतने सारी गालियां, इतनी सारी violence. God, it would be censor board. I think would be very confused कि क्या करे इसका. I think
देखने से मना कर देंगे.
They'll be like, नहीं, ये नहीं चाहिए हमें ना. But I just thought that's.
I heard this remark someday that people like actors who are beautiful are never good actors, and that really rattled me. I was like, how can we even say that? But
Yeah,
you do, right? And it's like, what do you even mean by that? That is never the case, because this is an industry obviously where your face and your looks really do matter, but what you're bringing at the end to the character, to the screen, to the plot, that should be valued more than what you see at the surface level. So there's so much more to a person than the physical appearances.
So the most weird thing that must have happened is that people or the makers have typecasted the audience. And that's the worst thing that you do. That Gujaratis would want to they just want to laugh. You know, they just want to have those comedy. They just want to have one garba and those things, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the saddest part. I mean, you can't do that.
No.
This is the same audience that consume the best of the content across the world.
Yeah.
They are generating maximum revenue for Bollywood films. And not all the Bollywood films are comedy films. So all the logic says that don't do that. But then they have their own trends, they have their own calculations, which says that no, only comedy will work, only this will work, that will work. And then they restrict themselves from doing the experiments. But then there are exceptions, those who have done experiments and they've succeeded.
I wanted to see you do like a lovely Bollywood heroine who like sort of flings her hair around, like
wearing a sari.
I think that's what I want to see now.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Is that what you're expecting?
I would love to do that.
Yeah. I was going to say, is that what you're expecting as well, like now, or you don't have any idea of what sort of role you want to do?
I am honestly not expecting anything because, my expectations have been killed once, and I'm not expecting. I just want people to like love my work and say good things about my work, and I want directors to remember me, and I just want to tell good stories, play great parts, and that's the only aim. I mean, I'm not like setting rules for me as of now, because with this pandemic also we've realized that kitne bhi rules bana lo tum, nothing is going to work out for you. You can continue to make plans, but God has a plan for everybody. So just
absolutely.
So I've just decided to like take it by the day.